This conference will now be recorded.
Uh, okay. The last class we were discussed about, so Active Directory installation. So AD, which we use as a centralized authentication system. So we just deployed Windows Server 2012 and installed this Active Directory. Then we installed Active Directory domain service and certificate service also, because LDAP is require the certificate service, and domain service that provide then LDAP service. So we just install these two, and AD was used for centralized authentication, so that we would be able to create users in this AD server, and these AD servers are integrated with our cluster host. Say for example, this is AD, and these are our Linux machines. Like, it's all integrated or connected with our same domain server. So whenever I create a user here, the same user will be available here also. And so by using this Active Directory server, so we just enable this Kerberos. We have explained why we need Kerberos. So Kerberos provides an additional security. So we can use this Active Directory as Kerberos server, and the configuration is very simple and straightforward. So we will just create one organization unit, or it's similar to the directory structure, and we have a user which we have given like a delegated access on this organization unit. So that details we have specified in this wizard, and that did that Kerberos enabling. So we did the enabling Kerberos by using the Cloudera manager, and which was very easy and straightforward task. So while this Kerberos is getting enabled in backend, you can see under the organization unit that we specified. So few users were getting created. Okay. So these users are, we call these users are principal. Okay. So there are user principal as well as a service principal. So the principal that Cloudera manager created is like we call it as service principal. So principal is nothing but any entry like a username. So whenever we create a user, that we call as a principal. So here the Cloudera manager wizard creating that, and that is called another. Uh, we will see that when we connect this one. Okay, so we can connect that. Get password when prompted, choose the key, then training Cloudera PEM, then decrypt the password. So this is the password. So we can just make a note of this password, and we can download this RDP file and connect. Okay, and here I can just type the password and log in. So here if you go to this server manager and from the tools, Active Directory, users and computers. So here you can see this is the organization unit that we created for enabling uh, this Kerberos. But you can see like these users are created in something like some junk name. Okay, but see the login name and all looks fine, but the name display name is something like some junk character. Okay, but it's all having different purpose. Say for example, for HDFS, it's created a principal. For Hive, it's created. Cloudera Manager is created. For each and every component, it create the principal. So these entries are called principal. So we have a user principal that we created here, like CM full admin or this kind of users here. So these are called user principal, and the principal that create here, like this is for services. So these are called service principal. Okay, so let me go ahead and connect this and log into Cloudera Manager. So 7180 is the port and use the default credential admin. So you can see initially all these services are showing uh, no unknown health because maybe this service may be down. I can just go ahead and restart this Cloudera management service, so that may resolve this issue. So Cloudera management service has a lot of monitoring and managing services. So that will keep monitor this system health and uh, print that values or display that values here. Okay, and if I refresh this one, you can see HDFS is showing bad health. So maybe some health check. Okay, so canary error. So if you see something like this canary error, so this error means it's doing some health check. In the sense, if it's an HDFS, it try to create some file inside HDFS or try to read that and make sure HDFS is working fine. Similarly, the other components. So canary error, you are seeing some canary error. So if it's starting of the cluster, you can ignore that error. So the reason is, so while starting, it takes some time to make all the services up and running. By that time, this health check happened. So definitely that shows some error or warning. So you can ignore that error if that is happening at the beginning. So other than that, if you see that error after some time, so that is something you need to address. So we created, so we enable the Kerberos from here, just from here, security, and see here you can see this is successfully enabled. Okay, so that means, see, if you are getting one cluster and you want to check whether the cluster is Kerberos enabled or not, how to check? So it's very easy. From the Cloudera manager, go to the security, and under here, so you have two things. So one is Kerberos, it's saying successfully enabled, and data at rest encryption. So that is something different, another security option. So this is showing it's a Kerberos enable, and Kerberos credential you can see. So these are various principles. So if you just take the count, so these are various principles we call. If you take that count, so that will be same as this one. So whatever the how many number of principles we have here, so that is for corresponding to each and every service component. So this is for say for example, you can see for HDFS we have something here. So for yarn we have, and whatever the other components we are going to install corresponding to that, so it's going to create a principle here. Okay, So we have options like configuration. So what are the users we used? What is the Active Directory? And all those things. So this is our AAD server. What is the domain, etc. So everything will be available here. I think this is 2 or 3 page. And Active Directory prefix OU equal to Cloudera Kerberos. So that this is the organization unit, and DC equal to Hadoop and DC equal to com. So that is our domain. So this equal to hadoop.com, under hadoop.com Cloudera Kerberos. So this is the organization unit. So this directory kind of thing we call as organization unit. We can create a new organization unit also. So here organization unit. So I just here test org. It also looks like a this one, but for Cloudera thing, so we just already created a organization unit. All the principles that is for Cloudera has, I mean for our cluster, is created inside this organization unit. I think this configuration is 1 or 2 page, and the next page is nothing. So only the first page itself has everything. And we might have some account that we use for this one. So you should remember that credential whenever, if you are trying to add another services, so you need that. Okay, so that is about the enabling Kerberos. So enabling Kerberos is an easy and straightforward task, and we can use MIT Kerberos also, that I will show in later. So how to do it with MIT Kerberos, enabling Kerberos with the MIT with the Active Directory. So this is the way. And let's log into this server and see what was the last class
Sujesh,
you might be.
Sujesh,
Yeah, not able to.
this
Yeah.
this particular Active Kerberos need to be installed on Active Directory or Cloudera master node, master machine.
Uh, I, I don't know. I mean, so you are talking, which one you're talking? I didn't get your question.
Kerberos.
No, if I am to, if we are going with the MIT Kerberos, we can install it any one of the server. Then this one we did with the Active Directory. So I think you already seen how we install this Active Directory. So only that's it we need. From the client side, we don't. I mean, from the Hadoop side, we need not to do anything.
Kerberos database need to be installed on name node machine, right?
No need.
Okay.
So for Kerberos server and all, we use this Active Directory. So okay, Active Directory along with the directory service, it provides the Kerberos service also. So KAdmin and so this Kerberos it provides along with the directory service. But if you are doing with the MIT Kerberos, you need to have it separately installed. Okay, so we will just move here, and also this is integrated with this Active Directory. So whatever the users available in Active Directory, we can use that for login here. Say for example, I have created one user, and if I just use account, then this is my login name. So I can use this I should be able to log in here with this username. Sorry, and that name is, sorry, not from the root. If I do switch from the root, it won't ask for the password. So I want to switch from non-admin user. Let me increase the font size. Okay. Okay. So if you log in, so normally you can log in directly to the putty using that whatever the username. But here, so AWS, this instance has additional security that won't allow user to log in using the password from outside, because we all use the key-based authentication to do that. So that is the reason. Otherwise, I should have used this duplicate session and use this username. Okay. So if I use that, it will refuse the key and won't let me to log in. So if I want to do that, so there is option available, but the problem is, so that is not secure. So I can do that. So su hyphen and go to etc ssh ssh then sshd underscore config. You can just search with the password. Yeah, uh, password authentication. Here you can see it's set as no. So the problem is if we set the password based authentication to yes, so there is more chance like your system is getting attacked. Okay, so there will be I mean the hackers will be around, so they will use some algorithm to crack your password and they will log in. But at the time, let's just try that. So, systemctl restart sshd. Okay, so now if I just use this one, it's asking for the password, so it's letting me to log in. So this is how the login mechanism work in an enterprise. So in an enterprise, they have their own tight security inside, so that let them to do login. But in our case, so we have, I mean, our servers are publicly exposed to outside world, so everyone would be able to ping this and try to log in. So maybe after some time, you can see somebody will attack this and do that. So normally, this is how it works. You should be able to log in with your credential and do that. And if you just do klist, so whenever you log in with your credential, just a klist, you can see you might got a ticket granting ticket. So if you have this ticket granting ticket, so that means you already got a ticket granting ticket from your Kerberos server. So in our case, the Kerberos server is Active Directory. So just remember this command klist. So if you do this klist just like all HDFS, or you should be, then if you have the proper key, then only you should be able to access your Hadoop resources. You can use HDFS, DFS, LS slash, sorry, I think LS. So this will list the contents here. So if I just use k destroy, so that will delete this ticket granting ticket. So post to that, if I just do a klist, nothing is there. And if I execute any command or anything like try to access HDFS, it won't, I mean, you won't get. So you will get a message like GSS exception, no valid credential provided. So this is because of the Kerberos Kerberos ticket granting ticket is not available to you. Okay, so I'm just going to change this. Okay, so etc sshd config. So you can just log in here, and so this is only for the uh, I mean, if your servers are exposed to internet, then only you need to do this one. Otherwise, no problem. So you can use that. The now, if you just try to log in with our ID, so it won't let us to log in. Okay. So the reason is we have two options for SSH, either password based or key based. Then, okay, so here you can see you are not able to do that, and also we don't have the key. Getting the key tab, so you can use the K in it, then that principal name. So here the principal name is this one at hadoop.com. So this is my name. Then once prompted, it's asking for the password. So the password is the password for that user in this AD. So whatever the password you have set while creating or later you changed, use that password. Okay, so once this is done, I mean saying password is correct, you can see klist and make sure you are able to see that, and later you should be able to do hdfs dfs ls. And last class I think we had some issue. And see, I mean, the people who attended the last class, maybe even though we have that key available, so it was just throwing an error, and it's not letting us to do that. So the problem is it's due to missing packages. So we just need to do this command and install some of the OpenLDAP libraries. Okay. So the same error you can see, like, see, let me log into one of the worker hosts and try to log in. I think I have not. Okay, use this one, SSH auth, and use just open, then use CentOS. Then from here, so just use, okay. Then if I just use hdfs dfs ls / then okay, now this is working. So only the thing I did is just did this OpenLDAP packages install. Okay, so we need to make sure like you have the proper key by using klist. If you don't have that file, I mean ticket granting ticket, definitely it fails. Now we will see how to create a new user for your environment. Before that, let's see how to submit a job. Okay, so there are some sample jobs available for you to test. Say for example, a random text writer, calculating pi, etc. So I don't remember the exact path where its jar files are located. So you can just use find /name star Hadoop star example dot jar. So there is something like the keyword, I don't remember exactly, Hadoop example jar. You can just use this find command and I think this one also, I'm not sure. Yeah, Hadoop example. A lot of places are there, so you can just take from any one of the location. Okay, so I think most of them might be the same thing. So opt parcels, Cloudera parcels, it is. So this is one of the jar file. So what I used here is they use the find command and for finding this jar file. So I don't remember, like if you remember this exact path, you can just use that. Okay, and how to run this map reduce job or yarn job, people we call. So we have to log into one of the user, okay, and make sure that user is having home directory. So you can just do a ls here.
You're
And
submitting
here,
job from the data node or master node?
wherever you can submit from any host. Okay, so you'll see, yeah, Hadoop jar, then whatever the jar file, then pi. Then here you can have option to specify number of mappers and samples per mapper. So these two parameters are this job specific. So this is under the control of the developer. So they will define. So what are the options or argument parameters they want when they run the code. So the first argument is number of mapper and second is samples per map. So just let me do it 20. and a number of maps 20 and samples per map 10. So you can see the map reduce job is showing as running. Okay, so it should progress. So if it's not progressing, then there is something wrong. So you can see some progress here, like map 0% and reduce 0%. So technically, you should be able to submit this job from anywhere you have this Hadoop jar. So normally the developers submit the job from a node called Edge node, so which is relatively low rent in configuration, and where we just add only that client services alone, not any daemon. So if you just see here, so go to all host, and you can see some of the roles, not on the master. So there is a role like a gateway service. You can just install that gateway service so that no services daemon will be running. So only the executables available. So we will make one or two nodes like that. But you can run this job from any one of the working host also. I mean, maybe from the master, but here we just doing from the master, so that will work because all the configuration, everything is available across all the hosts. So I'm just executing from the this is worker 3, so that also should work. So when we submit, you can see the job running thing is coming. So after some time, so this is so uh, so when you can submit the job technically from any host in the cluster, but when we do it, we won't expose all the hosts with these people. So we will just make use of like one or two hosts and call it as an edge host or login host, depending on, mostly people call that as a edge host or edge node, and that node people will connect and execute all these things. But technically you should be able to execute from any host. That is the reason I'm able to do from worker 3, and here also I'm able to do from master 1 or whatever the host I need to do. And since it's a Kerberos enabled thing, but before doing this job, so I need to have a proper ticket granting ticket from the Kerberos. So then only I should be able to submit the job. Say for example, I just do a k destroy, and then if I do a k list, not ticket granting ticket available. Now if I submit the job, so for submitting a job, we use Hadoop jar, whatever the jar file location, and then the remaining are specific to this program. So that is again controlled by the developer who developed this Java code. And if I do this, but I don't have any ticket granting ticket. So that is the reason GSS exception. So if you see GSS exception or GSS API exception and see any messages like this, so that means you don't have proper ticket granting ticket. So you need to do a K init. So at that time, so you will be communicating with your Kerberos server and getting a ticket granting ticket. For that, you need to authenticate with this Kerberos server. So for that to do, you can just use kinit or kinit, then followed by user domain or you then your principal name. Okay. Then once prompted, type the password. So that is the password for this user, and so now you should be able to do the job. Okay. So this is how a sample job works. So first thing you need to find out this location. You can just use the find command. So find slash means entire directory I'm searching. Hyphen name. So what name pattern I need to do? So I know my jar file contain the name Hadoop example jar. So I don't remember the exact word. So that's why I use the star Hadoop star example star dot jar. So this is a basic Unix command to find out any file. So I just found a couple of files, and you can select any one. So there are a lot of location which we have this example jar. Take any one. So Hadoop example jar. So that is a standard testing uh, file. So you can make use of that file and pass certain arguments. Again, if you don't have any idea about the arguments, just use that Hadoop jar, and that will list the options. See, here we used pi, and there are a lot of terasort, word count, random text writer, random text reader, then different options are there. Okay, so you can measure the performance also by running this job, and you can write a random text writer is there, random writer is there. So different options are there based on this option. So it's making use of different algorithm. So this example jar file is a very big one, so which helps you to do a lot of testing, especially when you run a yarn job or MapReduce job. Okay, so this is how we run a job in the cluster. So any questions so far?
Sujesh, how does it work when, take example, that a application is running and schedule like in scheduler, like Uzi or any other scheduler? How do you do KNet?
Okay, so in that case, there we use separate. Normally, one thing like, so if it's a scheduled kind of thing which is running in backend, so we use a separate mechanism. So normally we don't run it as a individual user ID. So we use a certain ID that called service account. So for that, there is an option called key tab. So key tab will store the file, I mean the password in an encrypted form. So we can make use of that and inside certain script. I will show you how to create a user and create the key tab shortly. So instead of writing the, I mean, using that, normally in scheduling the job, people won't use their own or any individual user ID because the user leave the organization or switch the team. So that should not affect the job. So for the job, once it is scheduled, then it may run for a long time or maybe for several years it run. But for that, they will create a user called service account,
So,
and that will be with the password never expire option. And also they use that a key tab file. So key tab file is nothing but like instead of we do kinit and typing the password, we use that key tab file to do authenticate in Kerberos. And just use one line
understand.
to
So is that
create.
okay? So is that those service account we have to create in AD and then they will get synced into KeyTab?
Yeah,
Is that the right assumption?
I'll show you that part separate. I
Okay.
understand your question. So any other question apart from this?
Okay.
If you other guys having okay. Okay, so I'll show you that. So how to onboard a new user. Okay. Uh, so first thing, if
Okay.
most of the time you want to create a new user. So whenever new user login, so the first thing we will ask, okay, so this ID to be created in AD. So normally any person join to a company, so we will have its own Active Directory user ID created. So that is not needed. Like again, no need to go and create here. So, but see, whenever you join to a new organization, the first thing they do is they will create your ID in this Active Directory. So I'm just starting from the scratch. Say for example, we are onboarding a new user. Okay. Say for example, Sachin. Okay. Okay. Then, so this is the user. Okay. At hadoop.com and whatever the password. See, normally you get a password like this, and see, user must change the password next login. So when you onboard a new company, so they will give, okay, this is your ID. So this is your initial password. So once you try to log in, so immediately it asks you to change the password. That is the reason. I mean, the reason is they might use this option, then finish. That's it. So this might be done when the person joined to this organization. Okay, and all the things, like there are a lot of application that is making use of this AD, like your Windows server login might be using this one, and your Skype might be using your intranet, your financial logs, whatever the things you are using in your organization. So all the credentials they are using from this AD. So here also I just created the user. So if I do ID here, I think, sorry, SACHIN. See, I can see that user is here also, right? So you not only here, all our node, because we did integrated Active Directory with this Linux servers. So that is the first part we need to do while onboarding a user. Technically, if somebody asks for an interview, okay, so how to onboard a user, definitely you will say this, okay, there is something this AD or Windows team has to do some task, they will add. And next thing is, so we will restrict the access. So again, the restriction we are yet to discuss authorization.
Whenever the Windows team add a user, the principal will be added automatically in the Kerberos.
Yeah, that is what the principle is integrated. I think you missed that first class or last class.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the reason. So we are just using. There is no separate separate thing for Kerberos. So Active Directory is using Kerberos plus directory service. Okay. So if you are using LDAP separately, then you need a Kerberos separately. But here, the user creation is same as the principal creation. Okay. If I just from not from the root user, just let me duplicate one session.
Last class, you have created a
Your voice
complete
is
cluster.
not clear. It's breaking up.
One second.
So TSH. Okay. Okay. So if I just use a K list,
Yes.
you can see. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello.
I can hear you, Sujeet.
Your voice is
Okay.
breaking
Okay.
up.
What about others?
I can hear you properly.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So I think some network issue from his side. Okay. So whenever a user whenever we create a user, so it's basically creating the user plus Kerberos. So AD is something like directory service, LDAP integrated with the Kerberos. So the user creation is same as service principal creation also. So when I log in as this newly created user here, just use switch. So I can directly also log in. So NIT K list, I can see for this principal, I got a ticket granting ticket. So there is no separate task for task need to do at the Kerberos side, because everything comes as an in an integrated way. So that's it. And only thing is, so what he need to do here is, so from the AD side, so he need to add him to the proper group. There may be something like a Cloudera or a Hadoop. So different groups created. I don't know what is the group we have created for CM user. Maybe we will create that user group details later. So, but however, what AD team has to do is add him to the proper group. So, sorry, just use CM user, whatever it may be. So there may be multiple groups they need to add him. Say for example, if he is the part of the project one team, so this AD team has to add him. Also for login to the this Hadoop server or Hadoop Edge node, they will restrict based on, and also the permission they restrict based on certain Active Directory group. So from the AD side team, so they need to create the user and add that user to respective group wherever he belongs to or wherever he need access. So that is from AD side. So that is, if you are working in an enterprise, that is a separate team involved here. So you may have to go through that, whatever the organization procedure to get that done, because we won't get access to this AD server. So there will be a separate Active Directory supporting team similar to HadoopAdmin. So we'll have to open a ticket for them and follow up and close it. So once that is added, then you can just use klist, sorry, ID. You can just use ID. I think I may need to just then ID. You can see, so his ID is added to this group. So not only this group, but for just for testing, I just added him to one of the group. But otherwise, there may be project specific. There may be multiple team or multiple projects involved. So based on that, so his ID has to be added to that group. So this task has to be done by AD team. And from our side, what we do, so if you are using Hue, again, so we need not to do anything. So we just need to, coordinate this. Otherwise, if they are not using Hue, we just need to create a home directory for this user. So the reason is, if you don't create the home directory, you will have the ticket granting ticket and everything. But when we try to execute the job, okay, so let me try to execute the same MapReduce job from this user. So this fails because we don't have the home directory for this user. Just execute, and if you are getting this kind of error, something like the permission denied, so you don't have the right access under /user, because this job is trying to create some file under his home directory. The home directory is under hdfs/user/this username. So we need to create that. So for creating that, so it's very we need an hdfs key tab file. Okay, so even though we have a root, we cannot create hdfs. Let me close this one, then CentOS. Okay, so what we need is, we need the key tab file for that user, super users key tab file. Okay, then for getting the key tab, what we have to do is, so by default, go to the host where one of the hosts, and go to the location var run cloudera SCCM agent, then process this directory. You can see a lot of directories, and go to the one with the name node. You can just use ls/lrt and then grep-i name. See, we just want to filter out only the name nodes directly. So go inside that directory. You can see a file called hdfs.keytab file. Basically, you need this file. So this file will be located in under /var run Cloudera SCM agent process. See, the thing is, even though I have the user here, say for example, let me log out from here. Okay.
You're creating a key tab file for a particular new user, or creating a home directory for the new user?
I just need to create a home directory for that newly created user. Okay.
Okay.
But we cannot create by default because the permission thing we have not yet started. So if you don't have that permission thing, Sentry is not enabled, and we don't have uh, this option. So what you have to do is just I have the key tab for this user, right? But if I use hdfs dfs -mkdir /user, okay, so this won't work because we don't have that. So earlier we used like if the Kerberos is not there, we just use this option like Hadoop _user _name equal to hdfs, and with this option, even if with the Kerberos is enabled, so this kind of thing won't work. So this was a challenge. I mean, so one of the drawback with the cluster without Kerberos, if you just export this variable, then you will get HDFS access. But here we don't have the permission. Also, we cannot bypass this. Only thing is we need an HDFS permission. Okay, what I can do is I have this keytab file found from this directory. Okay, so what I can do is HDFS keytab. Okay, so I think already have that. Then I need to ch on because that will be with the root access. See, if I do that, I have this keytab file. So what I have to do is if ls-l, okay, so I need to /home. Okay, so I need to have the read-write access on this. What I'm going to do here is I'm just doing a klist. I have the klist. You can see I have the key tab. I mean ticket granting ticket for this user. I'm just using kdestroy, and then use klist -kt for listing this key tab. So the key tab is nothing but the password and principal in an encrypted form. So we cannot read, but that is stored in an encrypted way. So you can see that what is the principal name and this key version and other details. What I'm going to do is just do a k in it. So I'm getting ticket granting ticket for this user. Okay, then HDFS, then the principal name. So the format is k init -kt. Okay, then key tab file name, then the principal name. So now if I do a k list, you can see, so this is the principal, and I got the ticket granting ticket for this HDFS user. Now if I do HDFS DFS mkdir /user, right, I'm able to create this HDFS. Okay, so this is working. So HDFS DFS -ch on. Ch on means I'm changing the ownership of this one. So now if you just set, I mean HDFS DFS -ls, if you see /user, you can see this user might be on by HDFS. Okay, I need to change that ownership to this user itself. I can use HDFS DFS -ch on. Okay, that's it, and I should be able to execute the job now. So now if I do execute again, it should work. So technically, if you are onboarding a new user, what you have to do is you need to make sure its HDFS home directory is getting created, and the remaining part, this AD
Can you
team
tell the
has to
last
do.
command which is executed to give this permission? Can you show me the other screen? Other screen, previous screen. What is that
No, no.
command?
Which command you need?
This one only. This one only. DFS MKDR TS Sachin and HDFS DFS change ownership TSS. Okay.
See,
Where you added
basically, I need to
please.
create a home directory for this user and change the ownership for that username.
Okay. No need to give information in the key tab about TS Sachin.
See, we are not using the key tab for this user. Okay, so we use the key
Key
tab
tab for
for
Sachin.
getting HDFS users permission for us. The
Okay.
reason is we don't have the right access on this one. Okay, so we don't have the
Okay.
right access under /user for this user. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm
Kinit
just
type of
using.
command. Kinit -kt command will do what exactly? That's the command.
See that we will, by using that key tab, that command, so we will get the key ticket granting ticket for this whatever actually the key tab file contain the principal is in an encrypted form. Okay, username and password in an encrypted form. So basically we are delegating or just getting the permission of this HDFS user. So normally if you do kinit by default, you will it will authenticate to AD server or Kerberos server and try to get a ticket granting ticket based on the username. But instead of that typing the password, we are just using the key tab file. Actually, this key tab file is for HDFS users key tab file, not our key tab file. With
Okay.
the root user, I copied here and I did a
Okay.
kinit. So kinit we can do multiple ways. So kinit -kt. So with this key tab file and what is the principal name. So once you do that, you will get HDFS users permission. Then if you do that, then you will be able to create the directories under /user, etc. So that is
You
how
are
we did.
HDFS key tab for HDFS users. Am I right?
So
That kinit command meant for HDFS key tab is initiating for HDFS users, right?
Okay, so we will talk that later. So it's not. See, HDFS is a super user in Hadoop. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so
Okay. Okay.
okay, so we need that user's
so
permission for doing that. Yeah.
so so
You're running that
basically
command with yes Kunnathura
basically
your user ID. You're not a master user, right? Yes, Kunnathura.
No, this is the normal user. Okay. So that is the I think you missed that. Okay, I was just trying to create that directly here and I failed. So that is the reason I took that super user keytab file and got that super user privilege to do this.
Okay. Okay. Got
Okay.
it.
Sajesh, a quick
Yeah.
observation. So we could have logged in as HDFS, then we don't need to do this hack possibly. Is that right?
No, actually, this HDFS user they create without login. So even if I do that, so we don't have that password available. So say for example, if I just do sudo su, then su HDFS, we don't
And
have that password for this user. Okay,
so
so
take
that is the
example if you
reason.
do klist here.
Which one?
I see. So that is yeah. So we can't do a klist from here, can we? Using HDFS
Yeah,
user.
that yeah, because it's a kind of
Can we do
user
knit from here?
that no, if you do a kinit, you should know the password for this user. Okay. So one is like this user is not added in the kernels. Actually, this is the local user.
Yeah.
But that user
Yeah.
for HDFS thing that is created here. So I don't know which one is exactly. So if you just keep on reading, you can see this is not this one, and you will be able
I
to
got your
get
point.
a
Yeah.
yeah. But that user, for
No, I
all these
understand. So
principles,
because
we
whenever,
don't, yeah, we don't know the password. The reason,
because
and also people don't set the
no, okay.
password also. So for that purpose,
Hmm.
again, so this way also we won't use. Okay. So for getting the key tab and doing, so there is a tool called Sentry. We with that tool we will control who has to give the super user privilege. Okay. So this is just a workaround getting the key
So
tab
that will
and
come.
yeah, that will discuss later.
So, so that will be part of possibly when we define ACLs, etc. Is that right?
Yes, yes, ACL. ACL has some limitation, but there is something called a Sentry. With that, we can control, yes, who can all
Yeah.
give that super user. So in that case, we need not to switch to this user or getting the key tab file. So that is no longer needed. So that we will discuss
All
later.
right.
And
What,
now, yeah.
what is that sentry? What is that?
So I'm going to create another user. Okay. Say for example, uh, uh, for one project one. Okay. So PR001 SRVC, some name. Okay. Some service account. Normally we use the name like this, maybe depending on the organization. So we use that service account. So service account is something like, so this user account are associated with each user. So they will have the password policy every 3 months or every 2 months, they have to change their password. But the service account they will create with a special approval, and uh, password never expire option they will use. For running the job in backend, and also we use this option. Okay, password never expire, and then finish. So this is the user ID, PR001 SRVC, and it's basically a service account. So similar to the account, whatever the option we have, here also we have option to add him to the uh, different groups. Okay, and this is just a user. What only thing we just set is the password never expire. Otherwise, by 3 months, we will it will change the password. So PR01 SCRV. So if I just use ID PR001, sorry, SRVC, whatever the SCRV. Okay, so now you can see this user, and what I'm going to do here is, okay, I just need to create a key tab file for this user. That is also feasible. One option is you can switch to this user or log in this user, and once prompted, type the password. So if you just do the key list, you are getting the key tab since you type the password. Since you are while switching to this user account, so it's authenticating with the AD server, and you are getting this details. Okay, and I'm just going to create a key tab file for this user. We will see how to do that. So for creating the key tab file, so you can do from any user ID. Just use ktUtil. Okay, before that, we'll see what are the encryption that it support. We can just use etc krb5.conf and permitted encryption. So I think here we just have this RC for HMSC encryption. So you may have multiple encryption supported. Just use the ktUtil. This is the command line utility for creating the key tab. So we use add entry, then hyphen password, then hyphen p. What is the principal name? So the principal name is PR001 SCRV, PR001 SCRV at Hadoop.com. Okay, then hyphen key tab version, then hyphen e. What is the encryption we want to use? Okay, just do this. So add entry hyphen password. So we are just using the password typing method, and hyphen p, what is the principal name, key tab version, e encryption. Then once prompted, type the password. See, one thing you never remember, whatever the password you type, it will accept. And but the thing is, you should provide the correct password for this user to that we set in Active Directory. Okay, now use wkt, then use some name for this key tab. Okay, so I can just use pr 001 scrv dot, then kit. So now you search, you can see this key tab file created. Okay, so use the kt util, you can do from anywhere. But only thing is, you should know the password for this principal. So use, once you type the kt util, just use add underscore entry hyphen password hyphen p principal name hyphen k key tab, then hyphen e is encryption. Then once prompted, type the password for this user. The password is the password that we set when we create this user. Then wkt for download or write key tab file, and use some location or file name. Then if you just use the file name, it will be in your current working directory. Then now you can just use klist-kt, this key tab. You can see what is the principal, what is the key tab version, timestamp, etc. Now I'm just doing a k destroy and doing a k init hyphen kt. So this key tab file, and then what is the principal name? That's it. Now if you do a k list, you can see you got ticket granting ticket for this user. Since this is a service account, you just need, okay, since we have the key tab file in place, so you should save your key tab in a safe location, and you should not provide access to anyone else, because if you have I mean open this key tab, so anyone is can take this file. So this way we can make use of this, and whatever that submitting the job and all, so this user also can do. So this is how the people do when they schedule the job. So they will just write this one as a line in the script, and then later do the thing. So this make sure like it has got proper ticket granting ticket, so rather than using a user. So if you're, as long as you are not changing your password, okay, I'll show you one thing. If you change the password, this key tab will not work. So let me do a k destroy, and we'll see here. I'm just going to change the password, but so this is something like never expire, but let's do a reset password, new password. Just change the password. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I just changed the password. Now if I just do this thing again, so this is saying pre-authentication failed while getting initial credential. So that means you might have the some password different, and your actual password in Kerberos server is different. So that is also, let me remove this PR, this one, and just KTUtil and do this the same thing. Okay, so add entry, this one, then use this option for downloading. Okay, once this is typing, I can type any password and download this and quit. Now if I do a kinit, actually I by intentionally I gave some wrong password here. So if I do that, so that is also will say this is incorrect. So I can remove that and use the latest password, ktutil, sorry, not this one. And when it's asking, I need to choose add entry, then wkt, whatever the key type file I'm expecting, then git, then do a keinit, it works. Okay, so that this means like, and whenever when you do a ktutil and add ent and type the password, so that password should be the same as that password for this user in AD server. So if you give some wrong password, it will accept, but the problem is you won't be able to do a kinit. So you may say like incorrect, pre-authentication failed. So this means the password stored in this GitHub file is incorrect, or the password has changed later. But for service account, normally we don't change the password. So any other questions? Okay, let me
Sometime
show.
in the middle the key expire, right? So how come that happens? Do we need to run the kinit at that time?
Yes, key expiring normally. So when we do that, I mean, in yarn job and all, when the job run, so that never happened. But other than that, if you do it, there is a lifetime for this one. So again, you need to do a K in it in that case. I'll explain that later. So in yarn, the way it works is different. Say for example, if you have 2-day or 3-day job, so the when we do a K in it and then submit the job, it works. Otherwise, like, so there is an expiry time. You can see like it's expire on this time and schedule. I think 24 hours lifetime. I think, yeah, 12 hours or 24 hours. I think it's a, yeah. Purpose of service account is to run the jobs, right? If we log in as a user to run the job. See, normally, to answer your question, the service account, mostly in an enterprise, these jobs are run in a scheduled manner, like every day or every evening, based on that schedule. So this scheduled job will run for many years. Say for example, the problem with the user ID, if we use the user ID, technically we can use the user ID. The problem is when the user leave the organization or team, so his ID also will get deactivated. So then the job failure, we cannot afford that. So that is the reason people use this service account. So normally for you to run or developers to test any job, they can make use of their own ID. So that is not a problem. So that is the reason people use this service account mainly for scheduled kind of job which run in the backend. So other than that, the people can use their own ID. And so any other questions? I think.
People run kinit twice. Does it create any
No,
harm?
no, it won't have any issue. So you can try here multiple time and see what it happen if you do multiple time. So it won't have any issue. But only thing is you can see this is getting extended, right? The expiry time. So
And can we put it into profile that .bash?
Profile normally, okay. So no need to do it in the profile, like if you are logging as your ID. But I mean to say, I'm just login with my ID. By default, I will get my key tab. I mean key. So the reason is it's a AD integrated. Our Unix boxes are AD integrated, and when we do a login, so we will get the key tab file. So I'll show you one thing. Like I just did a k destroy. I'm just duplicating the session. So the reason I told you, right? I'm just using the CentOS. The reason is, so I have not enabled the password based authentication. I'm just using SU my ID. Then if I type the password, when I type the password, yeah, I'll get this key ticket granting ticket. So that is not needed here. So any user who log in to the Unix boxes will get the profile file will do the same thing only whenever we log in, it execute that. But the service account we don't do normally. So we will add this line into some script whenever we run the job. So that is the reason, like when you are in an organization and you just log in, you will get that details. I mean Kerberos ticket granting ticket. Any other questions?
So, Sujesh, because I joined probably a few minutes late, did you define KRB 5.conf for other or those files to enable the Kerberos?
No,
Or
nothing. I just
no?
use, there is an option like Kerberos thing we did last class last week, enabling Kerberos. So
Oh,
I have not,
you did from Cloud Manager then.
yes. And also we have not done much change as because we just use the ream join. So that will make changes in this Kerberos file, etc arb5.conf. So we have not done any changes here. So all these things, but if we are doing a Kerberos with MIT Kerberos, definitely we need to do all these things because this is all done by ream join command that we did in the last class.
Oh, I see. So when we do the Kerberos thing manually, when we set up our own database Kerberos one, then we need to we define these manually, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. We will see that. Maybe we will use as
Yeah,
a single node instance and try that
that's
out.
fine.
Yeah, MIT. When you are right.
Yeah, that's
When we do with MIT Kerberos, we need to define this parameter of domain name, ream name, etc., and do that. But in case of Active
Mm.
Directory, that is not needed because we just did a ream join command to join that. So that command automatically making these changes.
Yeah, having this Kerberos on, it will give us access to the SDFS only. So take example, if we need any other access, like any other component access, what do we need?
Yeah, it's all whatever the components we use in the cluster, we need a ticket granting ticket. Then only we should be able to do. Not only we just tried HDFS as well as MapReduce job also, right? So MapReduce job, yarn job also fail if you don't have the proper ticket granting ticket.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. Thank you.
other service also we will see slowly. We will just install the other services and we'll see that. Okay. So I have to move out today. So I'm just winding up a little bit early. And tomorrow's class, I'm not sure because I have a BC event to test. Okay, so I'll inform you guys. So based on the time, mostly we don't have. So if you have any other plans, please go ahead. Okay.
Sujesh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Sure.
Prasad,
Yeah.
Sujesh,
Yeah. Sure.
when is a good time to call you? Like, just I need to launch the instances up to do this practicals up to this point only for instance launching of instances, and I need the document for last 3 classes. I did not get any mail from you. Can you please forward the documents for the
I
commands? Like,
think for deploying this thing, we already you might already have that in your email. Yeah,
no,
only that mail.
uh,
After that, we have not shared any documentation.
is it like yum install sshd realm or the odd job something like that is in class 3. Some topics are there, I think, related to that. That's why
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, uh, class 4, you're told like creating the complete full-fledged cluster with AD and all. Or
Yes, I think yeah, class 4 is that one only.
okay, I will go through the class 4 video and I will start working on that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
is there
sure.
any document need to be shared from your end or not? No, no documents.
After that, I have not shared. Like I don't, I have only that installation one which I already shared. So I'll
Okay.
check that. Okay, I will give you if I have something. And if
Anything I missed out, please forward the documents.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Sajesh, a quick
Yeah.
one. I messaged you few screenshots
Yeah, yeah.
yesterday, and I've
Yeah.
got few issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're busy, so probably today, or I'm not sure, tomorrow, if you have half an hour, literally, probably I need some
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow, my morning time,
question
I will
answered, really.
ping you people. Tomorrow, my morning time. I mean,
You
your
just ping
evening.
me whenever you're.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yes, that's fine.
There are three
Okay, thank you.
documents.
Okay.
Sajesh, there are three
Yeah.
documents that is called prerequisites and Cloudera install and Cloudera manual cluster installation. Only three documents I have from your end.
Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah. Other than that, no other documentation shared. So
For
I'll check
installation,
that
for,
and
for installation,
we'll
for
share.
installation of Kerberos AD related, we don't need
No,
any
no,
document.
nothing has shared so far. Okay.
Okay.
I'll have
I
to
think
prepare that. So I'm in the process of doing that.
okay.
So
Okay.
I'll
The last question is today you're showing that there is a one, master two, and three workers or three, four workers you install. Like
hmm,
for
yeah.
today's class, we are practicing. You are showing all the cluster, right? Is a
Yes,
how many
yes, yes.
masters? Okay. All are T2 large.
Yeah, T2 large and AD server is T2 medium. See, it's not necessary like you need to deploy with exactly the same configuration. You can just try, and later if you feel like, okay, so this is performance is not better, so you can go ahead and I mean, change that instance size.
Okay. Right now,
So
T2
then,
large is okay for
yeah,
practicing
yeah,
this.
T2 large or even I think lesser configuration is also work. But later, if you add lot more components, definitely it fails. I mean, you will show some error message
Okay.
because of the memory issue we can expect when we have a more
Okay.
services we add to it.
I'm very much new to AWS. That's what I'm asking
No,
so
no,
many
you
questions.
can you need not to use only the AWS, whatever the cloud or I mean, the instance setup you have, you can do with that. Only thing we need is like so we need that Linux servers available. So if
No,
you're
no,
comfortable with
that I will go through your videos and I'll follow AWS only.
okay, okay. No, I'm not encouraging you to only use AWS. Whatever the cloud platform or whatever, even if you have the server locally available, you can make use of that. So the reason why I'm using AWS, I don't have a server available.
Okay.
So I'm not only asking you to, I mean, use this one. So you can use anything like a Google Cloud or Azure or whatever the cloud platform, other cloud platform familiar. What we need is just need the instances.
All these instances will be created static IP by default, or we need to set any settings like in AWS.
Static IP, if you need to pay extra money.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I
Yeah.
will go through your class 4 and try to install. In case
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
if I face issue, I will reach you out tomorrow your time, morning time, right?
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Just yeah, just quick question. Anyone in the group install this thing so that we can share in our WhatsApp group as well, so that we can help each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. That is also good.
I'm trying to start now. Like I'm trying to start installation now.
Initially start with the single instance. Okay, then you can slowly move to the multi-node. Otherwise, if you have some challenges in between, so you will lose a lot of money. I mean to say like 5 instances running. So first make yourself comfortable with a single instance.
Okay, that's also a good idea. There is a second class, I think. Class second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rajesh. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And tomorrow we consider cancel, okay, so that we can plan. Shigesh.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Tomorrow you try to practice. Maybe if I get time, you can just ping me also in case if you have any challenges.
Sure.
So do the installation. I'll try to make the documentation, but I was a bit busy for last few weeks. I'll try to make that and will give you that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right.